While there are certainly many large animals out there, there are some that stand out amongst the rest. Much larger than their average counterparts, they are specimens that are in a league of their own. Number 10. The bluefin tuna. Throughout the world, bluefin tuna are well known for not only being massive, but for having a delectable meat with an exquisite flavor. As a result, they are heavily fished, and the North Atlantic bluefin tuna is no exception. Primarily found on the northeastern seaboard of the United States and the east coast of Canada, they typically come in at a maximum length of 2.5 meters and a maximum weight of 250 kilograms. And because they contain large amounts of quality meat, exceptional specimens can bring in exceptional profits. Yet we bet that few match the profit margins of the largest bluefin ever caught. Reeled in off the coast of the Canadian town of Ald's Cove, Nova Scotia on October 26, 1979, the record-breaking fish was caught by an angler by the name of Ken Fraser. Wrestling with the fish for about 45 minutes before finally overcoming it, its weight of 679 kilograms and length of 3.7 meters makes it by far the largest bluefin tuna ever recorded across all species. However, with the U.S. National Marine Fisheries Service claiming that a 910-kilogram fish theoretically could exist, perhaps we'll see this record being beaten in the near future. Number 9. The largest liger. As far as big cats go, ligers were practically engineered to be massive. That's because these animals, which are not found naturally anywhere in the world, are often bred in captivity in order to impress guests at various zoos and wildlife reserves. Weighing approximately 400 kilograms and reaching lengths of 3 meters on average, these are truly massive beasts, and they're often larger than both their lion and tiger parents. However, the liger that can claim the world record as the largest living cat is Hercules, an adult male liger lion and tigress hybrid. He measures in at about 3.33 meters and has a height of 1.25 meters and weighs in at 418 kilograms. In order to maintain this size, he eats about 30 kilograms of meat per day, which for reference is about the same weight as a 2-year-old child, and unsurprisingly, he washes this meat down with several liters of water. Yet perhaps the most interesting of all is the fact that he is housed at Myrtle Beach Safari in South Carolina, which has become famous in the past few months for the wildlife owned by the controversial Doc Antle from the Netflix original series Tiger King. As a result, we're sure that both the park and Hercules will get a lot more visitors in the near future. Number 8. Lolong the crocodile. We think you'd agree with us that there are few reptiles that are more ferocious than a crocodile. And while there are a variety of crocodile species, the saltwater crocodile tends to grow the largest, with the average specimen growing to about 4.5 meters long and weighing in at about 450 kilograms. However, Lolong put this average to shame when he was captured alive in the Philippines' Bunuan Township in September of 2011. Now, before his capture, he had been infamous in the community, as it was suspected that he was a man-eater that was behind the deaths of both a local fisherman and a 12-year-old girl in years past. As a result, most of the townspeople wanted him gone, and thus a massive effort was undertaken in order to capture him. Now, the hunt itself took about 3 weeks, and once he was found, it took about 100 people to bring him to shore. And while he wasn't exactly complacent during his capture, as he broke the ropes restraining him twice during this ordeal, once landed, he was measured in at an astounding 6.17 meters, making him by far the largest crocodile ever found. However, rather than be shot, he was instead put inside of a local zoo enclosure, where he became very docile and seemingly lost his aggression due to the stress of being captured. Sadly, this stress perhaps contributed to Lolong's life in captivity not lasting very long, as he only lived for about 18 months before succumbing to illness. However, to this day, he is still well remembered by the local villagers. Number 7. The polar bear. As far as bears go, the polar bear takes the cake for being the largest of them all. Typically speaking, they measure in at about 2.4 to 3 meters long and 350 to 700 kilograms in weight, with this largely being thanks to their fat-rich diet of ringed and bearded seals. However, the largest ever recorded was reportedly shot at Kotzebue Sound in northwestern Alaska in 1960 and weighed in at about 1,002 kilograms and stood about 3.39 meters tall when on its hind legs. Yet, while this record bear certainly was impressive, the chance of us seeing any more like it are quite low. That's because global warming has made food scarce for these animals, and the images of emaciated polar bears that are well under their historical averages in terms of size and weight have become more and more common. As a result, this is a record that will likely hold for years to come. Number 6. The Goliath bird-eating spider. While we're sure that many of you have a fear of spiders, the Goliath bird-eating spider is a gargantuan giant that puts every household spider imaginable to rest. Hailing from Suriname, Guyana, French Guiana, Venezuela, and Brazil, the species typically grows large enough to cover a dinner plate and is known to feast on animals such as frogs, rodents, and at times even birds, doing so via its 1-inch-long fangs that pump neurotoxins into its prey. However, the world's largest known specimen was collected by members of the Pablo San Martin expedition at Rio Cabro, Venezuela, in April 1965. It had a record leg span of 28 centimeters and certainly must have been a sight to behold. As a result, we'd recommend keeping your eyes peeled for these poisonous predators if you ever plan to go for a rainforest rendezvous. Number 5. Tiger Titans. As far as big cats go, no naturally occurring species are a match for the Siberian tiger. Found throughout eastern Russia, northeast China, and North Korea, these animals come in at an average length of 2.7 to 3.3 meters from nose to tip, and often weigh as much as 180 to 306 kilograms. To put this into perspective, lions, who are often compared to tigers, only come in at about 1.8 to 2 meters and weigh an average of 175 to 225 kilograms. As a result, it's tigers and not lions that claim the title as the biggest cats in the world. However, there are some tigers that stand out amongst the rest. Now keep in mind that due to the largest tigers on record largely having lived over 50 years ago, some of the records are disputed, with many experts believing that they could be exaggerations. Regardless, the largest reasonably reliable record we have to date comes from the Sikhot-Alingori Mountains of Russia, where naturalist Vyacheslav Sysoyev claimed that a 400-kilogram tiger that was about 4 meters in length was shot in 1950. In slightly more recent times, an accurately measured Bengal tiger was shot in Uttar Pradesh, India in 1967, with this tiger coming in at an impressive 3.37 meters and weighing in at about 389 kilograms. With this exceptional weight being achieved largely thanks to it having eaten a water buffalo the night before. Yet it turns out that even in captivity, tigers can get pretty massive, as in 1986 a Siberian male owned by American animal trainer Joan Byron Marasek was found to be 3.32 meters in length and a ridiculous 423 kilograms in weight. Regardless, no matter which of these records you consider to be true, it's clear that the tiger is undisputedly one of the most impressive animals out there. Number 4. Oh deer. Whether it be in the brush of the South American continent or in the backwoods of the United States, hunters have been pursuing white-tailed deer for centuries. And while large deer can certainly be found in any corner of the world, the title of the largest is one that is hotly contested and not easy to beat. Now, there is a lot that goes into determining how heavy a white-tailed deer really is. That's because for all modern records, there's a 2-month-long process that must take place in order to verify a record as legitimate. You see, once a deer is shot, the requirements stipulate that it must sit untouched for 60 days so that all fluids can drain out of the carcass. Then, if you're in the United States, the state's Wildlife Resources Agency will then send out a team to measure the animal. It's these measurements that can then allow an animal to qualify for world record status. As a result, the current world record holder for the largest white-tailed deer ever shot is held by Luke Brewster of Bristow, Virginia, while hunting in Edgar County, Illinois. It was the afternoon of November 2, 2018, when from his tree stand he spotted a deer that he later went on to nickname Mufasa. Quickly shooting at it with an arrow, he did lethal damage, as after 30 minutes of trailing it, he found it dead on the ground. While he had to reattach a broken part of his antler due to having it come off as the deer ran into a tree, when all was said and done, this spectacular specimen came in at 327 7/8 inches and 39 points, meaning that it surpassed the former record holder by a healthy margin of about 14 inches. However, the heaviest deer ever recorded was shot far earlier. That's because the most hefty whitetail ever shot down was killed by bow hunter John Annett of Ontario, Canada, all the way back in 1977. Coming in at a staggering 431 pounds on government-certified scales, this put it about 29 pounds ahead of the previous record holder, who had shot his own deer down about 50 years prior. We guess that just goes to show that record-breaking whitetails don't exactly come around every single day. Number 3. The Black Marlin. As far as swordfish go, the black marlin truly stands out among the rest. Found throughout the Pacific Ocean, it's been observed at a maximum length of 4.65 meters, a weight of 750 kilograms, and speeds of as much as 36 kilometers per hour. Given both these characteristics and its impressive physical appearance, it should come as no surprise that the black marlin is one of the most highly prized game fish in the world. However, as far as records go, it's Alfred C. Glassell Jr. who comes out on top. That's because for more than 60 years he has held the record for catching the largest black marlin specimen. An American oil magnate and professional fisherman, he was featured on a number of national fishing teams and was known to be an avid philanthropist to marine biology research programs. It was this passion for marine biology that caused him to travel to locations around the globe in order to fish. And on the day of his record-breaking attempt in August of 1953, he found himself off the coast of Cabo Blanco, Peru, which has waters renowned for their so-called Marlin Boulevard. It was here that he reeled in a black marlin that weighed in at about 710 kilograms, making it the largest fish in the marlin family to ever be caught. It was a result of both this catch and a string of others that Glassell Jr. was eventually inducted into the IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame in 2001, and to this day, his impressive black marlin can be viewed at the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. Number 2. The Great White Shark. While great white sharks may be ferocious creatures, there are many master fishermen out there who have tried their hand at catching one. However, given the fact that they can grow to as long as 6.1 meters and can be as heavy as 2,250 kilograms, they aren't all that easy to catch, and record breakers are certainly hard to come by. Yet, to date, it is the late Alfred Dean of southeastern Australia who holds the record for catching the largest great white shark in human history. Born in 1904 like his father before him, he was a grape farmer by trade. As such, he could go only fishing outside of the grape growing season, which was primarily in December and January, and just after the annual harvesting period in April. Nonetheless, he took as many deep-sea fishing trips as he could, and after a few years of doing so, he constructed his own custom boat specifically made for shark fishing. It was in this boat that in April of 1955, he finally struck it big, fishing outside of the waters of the small town of Ceduna, Australia. He snagged a massive shark on his hook, wrestling with it for about 70 minutes before finally pulling it in. After bringing the beast back to nearby Denial Bay, he discovered that a shark came in at an impressive 1,208 kilograms. To put Dean's feat into perspective, no shark fisher since then has caught anything within 340 kilograms of this record, making it by far the largest ever reeled in. And while this record breaker may not be as large as some of the biggest sharks recorded in the wild, unless shark fishing technology massively improves, it will likely hold the record for years to come. Number 1. Large lions. It goes without saying that lions are one of the most incredible animals on the planet, typically growing to a length of about 1.8 to 2 meters and a weight of about 180 kilograms. They're known as the kings of the jungle for good reason, as their size is rivaled by very few other big cats on the planet. However, in the wild, their numbers have been declining, and this is perhaps a contributing factor as to why some of the largest recorded wild lions were recorded decades ago. Now, the longest lion, at nearly 3.6 meters in total length, was a black-maned male shot near Musco in southern Angola in October 1973. And the heaviest lion in the wild was a man-eater shot in 1936 just outside Hectorspruit in eastern Transvaal, South Africa, that came in with a weight of about 313 kilograms. Yet while these sizes are massive in and of themselves, due to the rise in captive lions at zoos, there are some that, while perhaps not as strong, have gotten much fatter and thus much heavier due to their sedentary lifestyles and large food allowances. A great example of this is a captive lion by the name of Samson, who reportedly came in at a weight of 450 kilograms. However, had he not lived in captivity, it's almost certain that he would have never achieved this size. As an interesting side note, the heaviest wild lion on record is actually somewhat of a disputed title. That's because in January of 1963, it was recorded in the East African Business Digest that 2 Tanzanian lions who, after being shot, respectively weighed in at 317.52 and 362.87 kilograms. And while this may make it seem that they should have been awarded the title, they reportedly only got to this weight after killing 244 cattle and 3 donkeys at the village of Isuna. And as a result, had all of this meat not been in their stomachs, they would have been significantly smaller. However, we leave it up to you to decide whether they're the rightful recipients of the heavyweight title.